Get started. We want to go ahead and add a new, so this next page button is done. I guess we should double check that the PR is all finished. Good. So we've got an approval, got a couple of them. Travis is happy. Yeah, let's merge that PR. Confirmed. Cool. Delete the branch. And it shows me as the PR initiator, but it shows that Alex did most of the work there, and that Nick and I worked together to do that stuff, the testing. So I'm going to close that out. I'm going to archive the next page button, and we're going to add a new card here for route or path URL needs to reflect current page. Oops. So basically, when a user changes pages, they need to be able to copy and paste the URL and send that URL to someone to see the same data. Also, they need to be able to use the forward and back buttons to go between page states that they have chosen. Hopefully that's clear enough. All right, so everybody understand what we're up to? Right, so if I go, forward and back buttons don't do anything right now. If I click on this, this is all one state as far as the app is concerned. So we are going to go off and React Router. Google this thing. React Router 4 is the latest version of this dude. Go straight to their page. I'll throw this. An external router?
This is
External
an external library.
External library.
It's not part of React.
Yeah, and that's one of the, I think, the real strengths of React in general is that it doesn't try to do everything. And there's probably 3 or 4 different competing routing libraries for React. And if you don't like this one, you can use a different one. So here's the URL of what we're trying to do. So the way this is going to work, let's see. So we are going to import this router class. I guess the first thing we have to do is install it. I think that's an npm install React Router, maybe React Router DOM. Where does it say? I'm not actually that crazy about the documentation. They try really hard, but it ends up being difficult in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm looking for it.
Just the npm install. Oh, you found it. Where'd you get installation? Oh,
It was just on there.
guides to quick start. Quick start is way down here in the documentation.
Yeah, not the first one.
Not only that, it should give you action verbs. Like everything is to do this, to do that.
I like how they have it just with the tiniest font.
Okay. All right. So npm install React Router DOM is the key here. I guess before we get started, we better be on master. So git checkout master, git pull rebase origin master. Okay, there's all of Alex and Nick's work. Git checkout b routing. And let's npm install React Router DOM. Okay. So this is another thing where we're wrapping something. So we have this router object that's going to end up wrapping our entire application, and then from inside there, we can use links to get us from place to place. That will change the route, and then we'll use routes to identify the content that we want to put in the DOM based on the given path. Sure. Where does all this? Well, it'll in our app basically. So yeah, so this topics here, I believe. Sorry, basic example is their app. They're constructing an app in a weird way that we haven't used, where they're using the function syntax instead of the class syntax. But basically, this is just a render method.
They're building a little nav bar there, is that what it is?
Well, they're building. Sorry, basic example I think is here.
Yeah,
So that's this. So the nice thing about the documentation is like here's the code and here's the running code, so you can see them side by side. It's pretty nice. You can see even the path that shows up in there. So it's a pretty cool example.
You won't have that stuff, you won't inject it into the, we're not going to build like a nav bar.
Right, we're not going to build a nav bar, but we are going to have to. We're going to have to exactly. We're going to have to catch up our buttons with links. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Might be. Yeah, it is a hassle. Let's get in there and get our hands dirty and see what we want to do.
See what about it, yeah.
Yep, exactly. So we just installed React Router DOM. Bring up our code. So what they're going to recommend, let's back the font down just a little bit. So what they're recommending is importing some stuff from React Router DOM into our project.
Is it necessary to do the -s save when you install those?
No, not anymore. For old NPM it was.
So just empty install the app for the DOM.
Yeah, so if we look at package.json, so you can see that it added it to it. Yeah, it used to be that you had to do a --save, but not any longer.
Okay.
Right, so we're gonna throw in, this stuff. From React Router DOM. All right, cool. And we're not using any of it yet, so I guess we can pull those out. The first thing we want to use is the browser router router. So we're just going to wrap our whole thing in a browser router. Sorry, a router. All right.
Are you by chance recording this?
I am. All right, let's see if that broke anything. Just adding the router as the top level object. Doesn't appear to have. Still switch between pages, and let's see if tests actually still pass. Oh, that's the running npm test. So everything's still passing. Cool. We didn't break anything by adding the routing system to our code. So the next thing we want to do is, okay. All right. So the next thing we want to do is add these routes in. So what the router is going to do is they're going to look at the path that you're currently on, and they're going to conditionally render additional parts of your app. So what this says basically is if the path is /, then it's going to render the home component. If the path is about, then it's going to render the about component. Now one thing that you'll notice is that there is a / in about. And so that's why we have exact here as part of the arguments to the route object. So only if the path is exactly that will it render this. Otherwise, if you had like about / blah blah blah, it would still render the about component. And that's actually how the topics works. When you go to topics, let's go find the topics thing. So then it's got subroutes, match URL / rendering / components / props versus state. And so that'll match all those different topic IDs. So I think what we're going to want is wiring up the links somehow. So the buttons that we have actually to make links instead of just making state changes, and then using this path information. So you'll notice here we have like a colon topic ID. So we're going to put a page number in the path, and then that page number in the path is going to give us some information as to what page we should be rendering when this thing comes up. So I wish it were kind of a better story, but this is kind of I find it a slightly tricky, and one of the kind of least compelling things about React in general is the router story. But we're gonna muddle through it. So the first thing is to create a route. So let's come up here and get the route in. Oops, if I spell it right. And then, so what's going to change based on this route? I guess this might also be a good place to start. We haven't really cut this app up very much. It looks like it's a fairly monolithic thing, and it might be a good time to do that because we're going to want to pass this variable into something else to get to render the table that we're after. So it might be a good idea to factor everything from table out potentially. So that might be a good first step, is just to do a little bit of factoring, and then we could hand this table component the page number that we're going for. So that might be a possibility. Does that sound okay to everybody? All right, so let's not pull the render. Let's not pull the route in yet. Let's just factor our table out. So let's get into some programming and 2-minute cycles. Should we start with you, Michael?
Sure.
Okay,
I'm gonna have to look at the notes.
no problem. People can throw you suggestions too. I bet they. Yeah, we want to set up a file for a new component. Right, page buttons. Cool. Right, so we've already created a component recently called page buttons.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
And so if we look at app, we can see that we import page buttons down here. So what would you like to call this table? Basically, what we're going to try to do is factor out this table.
User table.
Yeah.
Because all our friends are
I love it.
Yeah.
User table. All right, so we're going to make a user table. .js. Let's all right, and then let's just going to grab the first maybe 3-4 lines here, plop them in there. Let's put default class. Bam. We don't need a raise button. And we're not going to call it page button. We're going to call it user table.
see all of the actual material UI.
Right, right. Good point. So let me grab this and just throw it into the render first. Grab those, okay. All right, so there's our render. Oh, thank you. Return. Okay.
Yes, and that's showing.
Chris, you're up.
So is this fine? Oh right, so we need. So let's go. So yeah, go back to the app.js.
Yeah. Oops, I didn't put in the thing.
Oh,
So this is a user table. User table, yeah.
Yeah.
And we should probably import that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's import.
Oops.
Nice.
Okay.
And then you should probably just grab the whole import object.
Oops. At the top.
Yeah. And then the MUI theme provider, I think. I'm not sure if we're using that in here or.
Yeah, we're using it here.
Okay, so then all we'll need is that
Yeah.
whole import object.
Yeah, kind of a helpful clue is all the stuff that's underlined probably is
Yeah.
what we need.
Well, I just do it both user also.
Right. So
And we'll probably also want our rows function.
yeah. Right. So let's kill that. Rows. Ah. Grab this.
Yeah.
Right here. Oops, that needed to be in the render method. There. Okay, sweet.
And then let's see what's wrong.
First, it's angry about Avatar not being here.
That's part of Material UI as well.
Let's go grab
I
that.
don't know why that didn't get
I think it was because it was still
Oh,
it's still
because-
in the file.
Yeah, yeah.
So now we need this.
A different UI
Mhm.
module or whatever.
Right, and then now we no longer have those, so actually we can grab those too. Oops. Oops. Okay. Oh, I already grabbed them. Okay. So now we no longer need that. Okay. Cool. All right, Jenna, you're up.
It looks like we're not using powder.
Mm,
Oh, that's because we're just adding it. Never mind.
that's weird. We are using powder.
I think it just didn't like the comment.
Oh,
Oh.
probably. Yes, that's exactly what it didn't like. All right, make it happen.
Yeah, so like the next one you go back to the user one state
Okay. Yeah, almost certainly. So anywhere we have this dot state, it's probably wrong, right?
Is that crop stuff?
It will be, but we have to pass it first.
And then
I guess maybe the last question, do we want to give this page number and then have user table fetch the data, or we just
That's a great question.
I don't know if it's preferred or it's easier to just send the data that would require us to understand the code.
Right,
So just the data.
right.
Could you repeat the question again?
The question is, how are we going to communicate with this component? Are we going to say basically user table data equals data, or are we going to say user table page equals page, like this dot state dot page or whatever, right? So, and then have it go and get its own data. The argument probably, so the kind of foresight argument to this is probably going to be like we are going to have a route here in the not too distant future where we're going to have a path, so like user's ID, and then we are going to have, so we're going to pass, so this is where the page number is going to come from, so it's going to be really easy to pass this thing a page number. So that's just one thing to kind of inform our decision about that. So
I mean, yeah, and then there's the case where you're going to do that.
It's
simple, at least at the moment.
it's
at least
sim-
change.
yeah, there's probably less surgery that we have to do to app, right? Because we're gonna have to change all the, we're gonna have to rip all this stuff out of app and throw it into, at least a lot of it, and throw it to user table.
And right now, it's all set up
Mm-hmm.
So like, when does it trigger?
So user table page equals this dot state dot.
Okay. Page equals this dot state dot current page.
So it's seems like we're going to give user table some state then, probably since it's asynchronous and it doesn't per se have a word.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll need to do all that setup inside user table. And
Right.
probably copy that get data function.
Right.
So,
Okay, so we've got a fetch data function, this thing. Let's copy it for now.
yeah, because it's the way things are right now, it also needs to exist inside of packages.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
And the user path will have to exist.
so this is messy.
No.
So, okay, so
What
we,
it?
so we have this user path. So we have some like kind of fundamental things that maybe a couple things are going to want. We might want to put this in a constants file so they can both import it.
Sure.
What's
Can
going
we
on?
also do that with that fetch call?
Maybe.
Because wouldn't it be getting like the scope of wherever it's going?
I'm not convinced that that's not going to end up being exclusively in the user table
Okay.
module.
Oh, there's another path.
Mm-hmm. What's that?
We'll get to it when we get to it.
All right. So let's create a constants. Let's create constants.js, and let's grab these two guys. To begin with, we're going to export constant, export constant. Okay. We'll save. Oops. We'll save that file, and then we want to import those. How do we import them?
Just the import. Just like the.
Curly brace. Server root and the user path. Okay. User path from /. All right. And turns out we don't even use server root actually, so we don't need to import it. Yeah, right. So we didn't need to.
That
Okay.
actually makes it kind of nice.
Yeah, it kind of does. All right, so we got user path. So actually, we also want that. Yeah, so it's missing here, so we need that here. Yeah,
Yeah, it looks like we need to
we need to get keys function. And is that used anywhere else? It's using this fetch data. All right. So,
You can move that down out.
okay. So we've got two fetch calls, one to do the shallow call and one to get a page full of data. I'm guessing the shallow call is going to stay in the app, and the call to get the page of data is going to move to user table.
Seems like we need to rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, I think it's time to rip the Band-Aid off. So we're going to pull fetch data out entirely, and therefore we can take get keys and throw that into user table. Cool. All right. What else is wrong with user table? It's not happy with the console log, so ESLint disable no console. Are there any other errors reported in the red here? I'm not sure what that comes from. Oh, thank you. Not shirts. Okay.
We're also going to need to send the list of keys in as a block as well, right?
That's right. Okay. So, sorry, Dobie, it's your turn. Yep. So, yeah, exactly. So, good question. So what we did was we've got this data keys state object here. So we went and did a shallow API call, and when we got the result of that, we stored the list of keys into data keys. So it sounds to me like we want to just say data keys equals this.state data keys. So we're passing two variables now in as props to the user table, the data keys and the page number. I would just rather call this current page. It's usually a really bad idea to rename your variables when you're passing them as properties. Okay, so now user table's got two props. It's got this .props.data keys, and it's got this .props.current page. So let's use them. Yes. Okay. So so we're still using this .state.data here, which is wrong. We don't have this .state.data anymore. Yeah, so we also need data. We also haven't invoked this fetch data anywhere. Right. So maybe we'll just write some to-dos. So how do we use our data keys? How do we use our current page? I guess this .state.data probably will be in there eventually. Like we are going to have to set this state data, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whenever we have data, whenever we have state we know we need, we should put that in a constructor. So let's get a constructor going.
So when is it just like common practice to have a bunch of states essentially?
Sorry?
Is it just sort of common practice for most of your modules or a bunch of your modules to have like this state? It just seems.
The fact that this is asynchronous means that we can do this. Like we could just fetch the data inside the vector.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I guess we could with .bends and then stop rendering every time.
I guess instead of bending over backwards to try and keep state in one place, we can just throw it around. I guess my question is it seems like it would be harder. It starts getting harder to debug because you have state all over the place.
Well, yeah, so we do have a design decision here. We don't have to have this thing have its own state. Like user table can be given the data rather than having to go fetch the data. So that is a design decision. We could choose not to have user table have state at all. We could have close this file. So we could have in app.js simply handed this thing everything it needs to render.
Yeah.
There's a couple of reasons why that's maybe not a good idea. The first one is that we know that this thing is going to be part of a route, so it's going to have a page number. And so it's really going to be the only thing that knows what page is up. App is not going to know because the nature of the routing.
It's not. Yeah, it's a little different than my question. I guess my question is morely designing React apps. Like, is it pretty okay just to have a bunch of modules with their own state? And then to me, that sounds like I don't know, but it just sounds like really hard to start like debugging and like working with, because then you have all of this state in like different files, different places, like getting modified.
I don't think there's any other way to make this work. Like we can't wait for that fetch to happen before we return something to the render. Like there's no way to make that.
It would be hard to make this work another way. So I guess that's one point. The other point is simple encapsulation, right?
It's still not my question.
I know. But the other point is encapsulation. Like
I was thinking along the same lines, actually. I don't know what it means because we've been doing all the simple apps where the state just lives in the main app.
So to have state in a component or not. And the way I would like to think about that is just in terms of how well is it encapsulated.
Okay.
So we have app. It's going to have a user table. Now, app has basically all the data keys. It's got to have that. It's got to have, maybe it doesn't have anything else. Now, when user table is going to have data, now the question is, does app need to know data? And so far, it doesn't look like it. Right? So it's kind of nice that app doesn't know that data. As long as user table can deal with the data on its own, then that's great encapsulation. We can debug this on its own, render it on its own, we can test it on its own. And app is none the wiser. So, but if this were leaky, like if app needed data, it's like we're trying to transfer data back and forth, that'd be horrible.
long as it's the only place that needs to use that state, then we can keep it there.
Exactly.
Okay.
And there's no reason to do the state props passing back and forth.
Totally.
That's the only place that it uses it.
Right. So, yeah.
Makes sense.
All right, cool. So Alex, I think you're up. Where were we?
So
We-
passing data keys in. So we've got. So at this point, we're pretty close to rendering it. Oh, we're creating the constructor in user accounts.
Right.
So we need to do this dot state equals data is empty.
Correct. And we could probably go pull it out of
And
here.
out of there.
We could probably pull current page out as well.
We're passing current page, but
Oh,
yeah, right now we're passing current page. We could pull page size out and keep page size over there because that's really just kind of the constant decide at some point we change.
good point. Okay, let's grab both of those. And then lose this comma. Okay, anything else? Oh yeah, so we were passing
We were
current
passing.
page. Let's don't pass it anymore. Although,
Well, we will be passing it in.
we will be passing it in. So that's actually not going to be state.
Current page. Right now our main. So we've got page size, we've got data keys, we've got the page elements. So the other thing is that
I don't. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
the component build node is calling fetch data. That's how we're getting it to.
That's how the old system was working, right?
And so how do we, I'm not sure how we can transfer that back unless.
Yeah. So we've got two fetch data calls here that are a little bit orphaned. We've got a change page method, which is probably going to go away. I think we can just rip it out because that's going to be handled by routing. All right.
So that way you can run state.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So then the question is like, what are we going to do with this? We'll just take it out. See what happens. Right. Okay, so cool. So all that app is now doing is doing the shallow call, and that's it. And then we're passing just the keys. Well, let's just pass a number to this for now, shall we? Because we haven't wired in the routing, so let's just give it a page. Okay, so the app looks pretty good. It's doing what it looks like it should be doing. But now, what should user table be doing, and how should it be doing it? Okay, so component will mount.
Is that your computer right?
Yeah, it will. Doesn't.
First thing we need to do is if the keys, so if those keys exist, basically.
So this dot props dot thank you.
Oh, right near my side.
And we've already sorted the keys beforehand. Somewhere else.
We have.
Previously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're up, Michael. What's next?
How do we present that?
We've got a fetch data call right here, which takes a page, and
Right.
sets our data. So this is pretty much ready to go for us to go grab a page full of data.
So we just copy and paste
In
it
there,
inside
do
of the
the-
function?
Fetch data
I think we just want to call it.
Yeah. Okay.
So how does it get new page?
will with dot props dot
This
current
state.
state.
Yeah, and we should have the
Right.
Yeah.
So you want to go with this dot.
Props.
Fetch data. This
Fetch
fetch
data.
Oh.
So we're going to call fetch data on ourselves. Okay.
What did you say?
we're maybe gonna have an error because now the buttons are referring to a function that does not exist.
Ah, okay.
But I think other than that, I think it should be.
Where are the buttons? Raised.
The buttons are on the app.
Oh, on app. Thank you.
Oh, for changing.
We have page buttons. That might be
Just with that,
that might be tricky.
that change page. Oh, just make that undefined. Just make change page equal undefined.
Cool.
It's fixing that later.
And we don't have a this state current page any longer either.
Basically, the buttons don't work anymore.
Right. We may want to move the buttons into user table.
Not push them out into their own module.
Yeah, right.
Well, they are. But I'm just saying, rather than invoking them here, we could just.
Right.
So weird. It's like, get them into the thing that's rendered over there. So
Mhm.
it's that state, so it's like-
Do we want to put them over there now, or do we want to leave them undefined? You're up, Chris.
It's just, I don't know, they're gonna work in a very different way.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Works for me.
I agree with that.
Okay. What's left? Let's save some things.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, okay. What does the table mean from?
Ooh. Oh, I think we had some callbacks. Change page. No longer have a change page method. All right, stuff's broken. So page button's mad. Let's just maybe comment out page button for a minute. Can I do that?
Oh, because it doesn't have
Are you actually
page
doing
sizing.
something?
Do it that way. Yeah, I guess it will.
It's not working very well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You use like
Because
Python.
essentially
I always
you'll-
find like extra squirrely brackets.
Oh no, do you?
Yeah. Because I get used to like commenting on words and commenting on numbers.
Mm.
Python is just always worked well.
Sure. That probably doesn't work very well.
It's better to just type it in muscle memory.
Right. Okay. Get keys is mad.
Because we don't have current page in state, right? Oh no, I'm thinking of something totally
We
different.
haven't finished
Never mind.
that statement.
Sorry. What? Finish what statement?
Well, isn't it, we took the buttons out, but where did we leave off when we were beyond the binding? So further up.
You mean the constructor?
Yeah. Okay.
All we're doing is setting data keys, so there's a very minimal constructor now.
Okay.
So we're getting an error in user table. Get keys is mad. Oh, we're using this .state.data keys, which is probably not good. What should that be, Jim? Mm-hmm.
Can you
Page
before
size
you-
is state here.
Can you highlight the word state just to see if it shows up?
That's a good call. State data. No, that's the only place.
Hey, Alex, I wanted to ask you a quick question because it was tying up a question from about 2 weeks ago. Do you remember how after we had made a super, done the constructor, we also set, this dot, whatever the, what do you call it? Whatever the item is or the array that we have inside of that, and then we set that to bind. But that's no longer necessary, right? What was the final word on that? I missed that.
Yeah, I wasn't not sure yet.
Okay, no, it's all good. I'm sure I'll have the question when I'm
Right.
somewhere else and it come up. Okay.
All right. Jen, I think you're up right now.
Props.
Props. Well,
We have page size.
but remember, page size
Oh,
right there.
alright,
Yeah. So let's save it and
It's
see.
confusing with props and
It is.
not
Oh,
props.
we're getting something rendering.
Now we still showing on the fetch.
All right, cool. It's just not rendering anything. Sweet. Why not?
Look at the console.
Sure. Page buttons is defined but never used. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
we knew that.
As the first, as it's mounted,
console.log. Let's look at our this.props.data keys.
And then is this component will mount being run whenever a user table is called?
Nope.
Oh, so then I
It gets
don't
called
think
whenever it's mounted.
fetch calls
That
happen.
shouldn't be
It's a matter of promises.
Oh, wait.
Not a matter of promises.
Yeah, component.mount is not going to run again when it's re-rendered.
Correct. So we get it once and it's nothing.
Hmm.
So
So
how
I
do we
think
do this?
That first fetch call is getting run, and then immediately after, or not immediately, both component will mount functions are getting run at the same time.
More or less the same time.
Can we put it in our table rows, choose a different function? Component will
We
mount.
could just put that inside render because it will trigger another render when it's done. Could we?
Okay. Let's talk about
It will
that.
change data keys.
Yeah, it's gonna change our state, which is gonna cause a render to happen again.
We got it in the sleep, like you said.
It'll be a loop. We'll get ourselves into a loop.
Is there any way?
Put it in a 15-second set timer.
There you go.
Eventually come back.
Absolutely.
Really?
No.
I was like, God.
That's the simplest thing that could possibly work, and that's
Right.
great. We could do that, and that would kind of work.
It would confirm this is the problem.
Yes.
Yeah,
Sure this is
right.
the problem.
Yeah, use the tools you got. Set timeout. Fine, let's do it.
No.
No.
All right.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
It was an idea that came up.
I think we know that this is the problem.
Uh-huh.
Pointless.
Wouldn't it be nice if we could do something whenever the properties that are handed to this component change?
So we go look at the
Chain
other
it like
lifestyle.
that.
Oh, lifecycle hooks. Yes.
And see which one is more correct.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Come on, let's.
Oh yeah, that would be wrong, and that one really.
Oh my god. Being forced to log on like this is obnoxious. Yes, I
And the
agree.
component will receive props.
component will receive props. It's like
Nice.
it like writes itself.
That is what we want.
That's exactly what we want. Okay. And then so we're gonna get a next props object. Okay, so we have a hook. Not that.
We do this in-
Mhm. We'll probably switch that.
Yep, exactly so. Okay, so now what's up?
Delete one curly brace.
Oh, thank you.
No, it-
So we're gonna. So now this
So-
is gonna get called with our next
Can we
properties.
console log next property?
Sure.
Next props or whatever.
Mm-hmm. This stop. Sorry, next props.
that's great.
All right. Next props. We got 100 data keys.
Ah.
I would just do a next stuff here.
All right. So instead of this, we'll just do next props dot data keys. And this is current page user prop. Okay, that's cool.
No, we should.
We probably should
I
use
don't think that's part of the state anymore. Oh, that's gonna be needed anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
Likely to change this.
But why play with fire if they're? We know this is the proper state, proper props. Okay. So save that.
So we can keep in the next box again.
Sorry, can we do what now?
Just look at next box again. So we can do it.
It's right here. Data keys, blah.
So close that there. Does it actually have the page?
Does it actually have the page?
Didn't we just do
Oh, we have a
next box
current
stuff?
page one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're given data keys and current page.
Are we setting?
Did we do a fetch call? Looks like we. Oh, look at that. Start at undefined, end at undefined. So we made a fetch call, we just did it wrong.
That's exciting.
Yeah, we're getting closer. All right, so who's up? I think it might be Dobie. Well, remember that we are constructing the URL that it's going to go hit here. And we're getting start at and end at, which are coming across as undefined. We're getting start at and end at here.
Where did we define those?
So, sorry?
No, go ahead.
Because that is your props right now. But we want the next props.
Next props.
So we need to like
Change tracks.
So right, we haven't actually changed. So this dot props is still wrong. Next props is got the data keys in it. That's the good stuff. I don't think we can't mutate our props.
You want to pass, yeah, pass an extra.
I can just pass it all in next props too, I suppose. But oops, and this is just data keys now.
Wait. We're not storing any keys in state. Why don't we put it in this state? So we're not storing it in abstract.js anymore. But why don't we store the data keys state here instead of having to pass anything into the fetch data?
I don't understand the concern.
He's saying we could do this dot set state data keys.
And then put data keys in our state in like a user table state.
I can think of at least 2 reasons not to do that.
Okay.
Right, you don't want to have more than one source of truth.
Isn't that the list of keys?
It is.
But it's also
But we've already got that in
It's
scope.
generated there with the composable map.
But I don't think we're okay.
we're using it up there, so might as well move it down.
You're saying should we move the other fetch, that whole portion over to here?
No, just before we had data keys in state, and I thought that's like how we were dealing with it.
We have data keys in apps state.
Yeah, but it's not there anymore.
Oh, it still is.
There it is.
That's the only thing it has.
Oh, I thought it. Oh, right. Never mind.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I was confused.
No problem. Alex, I think you're up.
So we've got next class passing from status.
Good question. Maybe it's just working. Yeah, by the way, it's working.
This is button.
So
Button's one way.
if we don't define a component that receives props, then it just assigns props and props. Like I receive props, the next props are now new props. Or if we put something in there that doesn't do that props definition.
Good point. So we've broken this.
So should we say something like this props equals next props?
I think so.
And just ignore all of the anything else?
Seems like it.
We don't have to do next props, not data keys, we just do
We
Uh,
don't need current page or data keys.
oh, you're saying
we just do this dot props up there, and then we just say
we can go back to using props in here.
right.
That seems reasonable to me. Cool.
And if that works, then I think we still need a current page to put that's what we had originally, but
No, but that's in props now, so we can just do this dot props dot data keys. this
Right.
dot props dot, current page. Current page.
Current page, thank you. How do we like that? Well, I guess we'll see if it works. It seems to work. Okay. Right, so we lost our buttons and we don't have routing yet. So it might be good to wire the routing up first because we can at least manually type in routes up here and see if we can get different pages.
Mhm.
Okay.
What are the, so we need to import, I guess that always worked here, so then we can show that to, import route as well as the.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Okay, so Michael, you're up.
Okay, where are we at now?
Okay, so now we're actually going to implement routing.
Mm-hmm.
So our buttons are broken and they're gone,
Yeah.
but we want to be able to type in here /users/2 and get to the second page, and /users/3 and go to the third page. And so to do that, we're going to use the React router has this route thing. So a route, if you give it a path that it matches, will render that content.
Right. Kind of like a URLs file in Python.
So the notion then is going to be we're going to import route, and then instead of just user table, we want to do a route where the path equals yeah, that's going to end up giving us the variable with where the page is. And you can see that, and this isn't maybe the best example. Well, it's okay. It's not maybe the best example. But we can see that in the topics component, somewhere, does it use an ID? Oh, yeah. Right. So if we do a :topic ID, then that comes across to the topic component as a property, basically. They're calling it a match.
So just go back to the comment you made about one word : ID, where I can't remember you were writing that.
I wonder if there's better documentation for this.
So is it setting up key value pairs for a lookup?
It's setting up just a variable to match that place in the path. Oh, is that right?
So is this topics another component?
Yeah, you're right. Sorry?
Is this topics itself a component, or is this just
Topic itself is a component, exactly.
So we're going to build a topics component.
Well, that's it.
Well, we're going to have to build we're going to replace topic with user.
That's what our user.
That's what our user table is.
Okay, weird.
Yeah. So, and what's also hard about this, so we would do component equals, okay, user table, basically. And that's great, except we want to pass some properties into user table. We can't just like say, here's our component. We also want to give this a path, so like users ID. So somehow user table is going to get this ID from route, but it also needs to be able to get data keys and current page from app. So there's more than one way to do this. We don't have to do a component. We can do a render. There's a few hooks to this. I was hoping to find better documentation.
Yeah, I can't actually find this.
Yeah.
The pages are blank when you click on the.
Oh, that's handy. So route render methods. Okay. So you can do a render. Yeah. Do you want to just guide us here, Alex?
Sure.
Okay.
So we've got, you push into page instead. Since
Like
user
page?
ID might be something that
Cool, good idea.
we
How about even current page?
yeah. And so then render, and that's so we put props into that, and then user table is like the actual component. So it's the
This thing, basically, right?
Yep. And then we also put
Here?
Oh, no. Sorry. Inside the user statement. So it's going to accept, curly braces.
Whoa. Whoa, what the heck is going on? Dot. Wow, that's goofy.
Yeah, what is happening?
My Vim plugin is getting confused. Wow. It thinks I'm selecting something from the,
The drop-down menu?
yeah, it sucks. All right, sorry, props. Sorry, how's it supposed to go?
And this is that for the right.
Right. So that lets us pass props from the router in.
Hmm.
And it's just all the props we pass in,
They just show up into the component.
and so then we have to close.
Right. Go to that. Yeah, sorry, this is going to have an open brace here. And then we're going to have a closed brace there.
Yeah, the element type.
That's from the route itself, right? It's kind of gross and weird. Current pages are going to be wrong. Yeah, that's true. Why is this angry? Expected an assignment or function call instead. It's on expression. I guess I want to return.
Well, yeah. So instead of curly braces there, we want parentheses. And
Sorry, instead of curly braces on parentheses?
and
Where?
Right there.
Increase cursor.
Over.
Why is that?
That's just the format it's supposed to have.
yeah.
But then I would not need I would need to put this on this line.
Then parentheses, like, is it a return, I guess?
Right, but I don't want a huge line.
Right, but if you can,
So I can do the same thing with
you
this.
can break it on props or something.
I'd rather break it there.
Maybe
Right. So right, if it's a multi-line with braces, then you need a return. It seems to me like it's more readable. I mean, it's up to you. Your mileage may
I
vary.
mean, what they're using in the tutorial, if you look at their topics and stuff like that,
Mhm.
they're using parentheses. See? I think they're
Props. Oh, I see.
I can give an example of what I had in my
I don't know if that'll work in our linting rules, but it may.
project.
It may. Oh, I see. I see. So just by using the parens instead, that gives us the implicit return. Okay, that makes sense to me. Are people happy with this?
So that's what
Looks good to me.
Well, so I mean, no, yes. It's like this. Right. So it's just the nature of. Sorry, NVM use 8 node. So like, when you're making an arrow function, you're gonna go. I don't know. Const foo equals 1 foo returns a 1. Const bar equals return 1. Oh, what did I do wrong? Extra friend. Sorry. Okay. Control C. Return 1. Yeah. No. Okay. Bar. Right. Same thing. So it's just like, if I'm going to use this, then I have to do a return. But the way we've defined this syntax, I'm returning right away. Like, that's the return. So right, so as far as the arrow function is concerned, it is a one-liner still. So the implicit return works. So so I can do that instead of doing a return, basically that. Into Slack?
That helps. Good. That's the best of handling the problem that I was dealing with at the time, but
Yeah.
a few months ago it made sense.
Cool. Yeah. So all right. So you can break it on the props, or you can break it on on the top level object. I chose.
Kind of similar to the breaking on just one of the props.
I don't have a strong opinion. Anyway, I think this is good. We haven't, so I don't think we've gotten to our objective. Did we break anything? Okay. Looks like we broke everything.
So it needs a page.
Cool. Needs a current page, right? We didn't pass it. So it's coming across as props now, right? So let's get into user table, and it might be nice just to log what our props are. I don't know. Do we know what those are? I don't. Console.log next props.
Well, slash user slash one page.
Thank you. Oh yeah, good point. Right. So that's not even getting to right. User. Is it user or users?
Users.
Thank you. Users 1. Okay, we're getting in there. Now we have, okay, cool. Let's just get the console up one. Okay, yeah, so we have a match. Match has params current page. So match params current page is where our page is. So instead of props current page, so this is going to turn into a long line. So I'm just going to go, yeah, current page equals this, sorry, yeah, this dot props dot match. Gotta love it,
So accessible.
right? But let's see if that,
At least it's there.
this is there, and bam, we have the first page. Let's try putting in a different page number. Bam, we are routing.
Very
So
cool.
ideally, we're linking something refreshing the entire page, right? That's the
Yes, it's yeah, it's like we're refreshing the entire page. Cool. So we got that going for ourselves. The next step is going to be wiring in the page buttons, the paging buttons. Good night. You're welcome. Yeah, let's pick that up on Thursday, and then try to write some tests for this. This is going to be a beast to write some tests for.
Yeah.
Question, Jen?
No, I was gonna say, what did you say we need to do next time? Is just
We need to get our page buttons back. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually pass.
Do we have the screencast of when we did all that testing that night? Is that-